Hello, friends. It's Rhett Wilson today. I hope that you are well. This Saturday, September 26th, there is a prayer march in Washington, D.C. Franklin Graham has called Christians in America to pray and humble ourselves for our country. And I know thousands are planning to go to D.C. I know a lot of folks can't go to D.C., but people are planning to pray on Saturday. In Lancaster, South Carolina, where I live, several churches are joining together Saturday morning to come together, several black churches and white churches to come together in response to this call for a prayer march to pray and humble ourselves before our nation. And I hope that you will be participating in that. You can view the prayer march in DC online on the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association's website. So check that out at noon on Saturday. We're in a critical time in America. We're at a turning point in America, Congressman Jeff Duncan said just this past week. And today, just for a minute, I want to talk about the two party platforms. You know, when we vote for a president, we are not just voting for a person, and we're really not voting for a personality, even though a lot of people in the media would like to make you think that. You are voting for a party platform. And each party, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, adopt a platform. And this is their strategy. This is what they plan to do in the next 4 years. And it's very clear, and you can go to their websites and see these things. And most of the time, somewhere around 70% of the time, the party, the next 4 years, sticks to that platform. And this is very important because this is what they're going to try to do. This is their agenda. One of my favorite theologians, Wayne Grudem, he has written some excellent things recently. I encourage you to go and look at his articles. And Dr. Grudem says this: the question now facing the nation is not, does Donald Trump have an exemplary moral character? Or does Donald Trump have flaws? Or even, do I like Donald Trump? The question is this: which of two package deals is better for the nation? And as a Christian, who gets his theology and belief system from the Bible, I believe that I need to vote for the party whose platform more reflects a biblical worldview and biblical ideas. Sadly, we've come to a time in America where we are not just talking about different policies in the parties, but we're talking about vastly different worldviews. And there are two worldviews that are battling for the heart of America right now. And Wayne Grudem says we have two choices, two packages before us. One, Donald Trump and Republican policies, or two, Joe Biden and Democratic policies. And he says there are no other choices. And so the question is not really, do I like Donald Trump or do I like Joe Biden? Or which of those guys do I think is a better guy? The question is, which package is going to be better for the United States of America? I want just for a minute to compare the two party platforms before us. And if you go to my blog, www.wilsonrhett.com, I will put these on there where you can download them. These are from the Family Research Council, the FRC Action. And let's just for a minute talk about a few of the comparisons between the Republican platform and the Democratic platform. On the issue of the sanctity of human life, you know, Donald Trump has been the most pro-life president in my lifetime. Donald Trump is the first president of the United States to attend the Right for Life March and to speak at it in person in Washington, D.C. The Republicans on their platform, you can go to their website and see this, they say we are proud to be the party that protects human life and offers real solutions for women, strongly opposes infanticide, including specific support for the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, a human life constitutional amendment, a ban on abortion at 20 weeks when unborn babies can feel pain, a ban on abortion based on sex or disability. And I'll stop right there that they say more. What about the Democrats? Where does the Democratic Party stand on this? They want to repeal the Hyde Amendment, which allows the government to fund abortion. They believe that every woman should be able to access reproductive health care services, including safe and legal abortions. They will oppose and fight to overturn federal and state laws that create barriers to abortions. They oppose any current FDA safety restrictions on chemical abortion pills. And you can read other things. And some of these Democratic leaders have even voted that a woman can have an abortion in the last trimester of her pregnancy. And some of them have even voted that when a baby is born and is alive in the first moments of the life outside the womb, if the mother chooses to have the baby killed, the baby can be killed. Now, just from a Christian perspective, folks, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they are the most pro-abortion presidential, vice presidential candidates that we have in history. What about redefining marriage? Well, the Democratic Party is silent on marriage and family. And what we're seeing now is more and more they are pandering to leftism. They're pandering to things like the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been very clear on their website that they want to redefine the family. They want to redefine the idea of the nuclear family. And this is very troubling, and this should be very troubling for Christians. The Republican platform says the American family is the foundation of civil society. And folks, that comes right out of Genesis chapter 1. God formed the family between a male and a female and the children that they would have as the basic building block of society. The Republican platform supports this, the Democratic platform does not. And the Republican platform says the family is the cornerstone in natural marriage, and it is the union of one man and of one woman. What about the LGBT agenda, transgender bathrooms, and women's sports? Republican platform says this: we embrace the principle that all Americans should be treated with dignity and respect. We support measures barring government discrimination based on one's views on marriage and family. So if you don't believe in the traditional marriage, they don't think that you should be discriminated because of that. They support the right of parents to determine the proper medical treatment and therapy for their minor children. We're seeing with leftists more and more that if the 5-year-old or the 10-year-old wants to take a route that the parents don't agree with, that the leftists try to take away the parental rights in those situations. The Republicans oppose Title IX being used to impose a social and cultural revolution among the American people by redefining sex discrimination to include sexual orientation. They oppose reshaping schools and our society to fit the mold of an ideology alien to America's history and traditions. And folks, this is so fundamental. The Republican platform understands the traditional view of America and of family and of sexuality, and they want to uphold that. The Democratic Party has thrown that out. The Democratic Party is not upholding that. And finally, the Republican Party, They opposed President Obama's Title IX transgender bathroom edict, saying it is illegal, it is dangerous, and it ignores privacy issues. Where do the Democrats stand on their party platform? They say we will fight to enact the Equality Act. Now, the Equality Act is a dangerous bill, and Joe Biden has made it clear he will support this. This is a bill that would alter our entire federal civil rights framework, get religious liberty, advance abortion, gut religious liberty, advance abortion, and allow biological men to play in women's sports if they identify as a transgender woman. Very practically, from a Christian's perspective, what this means is if the Democrats pass the Equality Act, they will be able to come into our churches, to come into our ministries, come into our nonprofit organizations, and they will be able to require us to hire people of same-sex marriage. They will try to force us to adopt the sexual revolution in our organizations. And this is why this is so dangerous. This is unbiblical. This is not a Christian worldview at all. They say that they support insurance coverage of gender transition. They say, quote, we will ensure that all transgender and non-binary people can procure official government identification that documents their gender identity. They support banning practices aimed at assisting patients with unwanted same-sex attraction. They will work to guarantee transgender students access to bathroom facilities based on their gender identity. So this Democratic Party is a radical revolution that they are trying to fundamentally change America, as the leftist Barack Obama promised. I'm not going to go through all of these. I encourage you to look at this. What about religious liberty? Donald Trump has been a champion in defending religious liberty the last 3 years. Decision Magazine did an entire article, an entire edition, I believe it was 2 years ago, about how the Trump-Pence administration has been a champion for religious liberty. They have been a friend to biblical Christians, to Christian ministries. The Republican platform says this: we strongly support the freedom of Americans to act in accordance with their religious beliefs, not only in their houses of worship, but also in their everyday lives. You see, the Republican platform believes, as our founding fathers did, that we are to take the gospel, we are to take the Bible, we are to take our faith out of our houses of worship, and we are to take it into society. We are to take it into our businesses. We are to take it into our schools. We are to take it into the way that we run and influence society. However, more and more of the Democrats agree with leftism, and leftism wants your faith to be left in your house of worship. This is the difference between the freedom of religion and the freedom of worship. Hillary Clinton used to talk about the freedom of worship. Let me tell you what the difference is there. Freedom of religion is I have the freedom to take my beliefs into the public square. Freedom of worship means I have the right to go into my house of worship my God, but then when I leave, I need to leave my faith with that and not try to take my faith into the public square. And this gets very much into the freedom of speech issue. And the leftists, which are now controlling the Democratic Party, you understand the Democratic Party is not a party of classic liberalism anymore. It is a party of leftism now. And the liberals have caved to the leftists in the Democratic Party. And they do not believe in the freedom of speech. And that is a core tenet of America. The Republican platform says we value the right of America's religious leaders to preach and Americans to speak freely according to their faith. The government is constitutionally prohibited from policing or censoring speech based on religious convictions or beliefs. What do the Democrats say? They say that they will protect the rights of each American for the free exercise of his or her religion. Be very interesting what they mean by that. They say that they celebrate the paramount importance of maintaining the separation between church and state. See, our founding fathers did not believe that there was to be a huge separation of church and state in the way that the Democrats mean that today. What Democrats mean today is keep the church out of the state. What our founding fathers meant is keep the state out of the church. You go back to the origination of that phrase, the separation of church and state. This was when Thomas Jefferson wrote to a group of Baptist pastors in Danville, Virginia, and they were afraid that the government was going to try to step in and monitor the church. And President Jefferson assured them, he said, the government will not try to tell you what to do or how to do it because there's a separation of church and state. And folks, that is in great danger today. The Democratic Party rejects broad religious exemptions for businesses, medical providers, social service agencies, and others. We've seen them go after these Catholic nuns who did not believe in abortion. They did not want to provide abortion through their health care. And the Democrat Party says we will fight to enact the Equality Act. And again, this is a bill that would remove religious liberty, protections, and even force churches to violate their tenets of faith. Let's talk just about two more things, and there are others. One, what about the courts? And this is paramount. This is why many of us voted for Donald Trump in 2016, because of what would happen to the Supreme Court. The Republican platform says we support the appointment of judges who respect traditional family values and the sanctity of innocent human life. We seek to enable the court to begin to reverse the long line of activist decisions, because for 60 years, ever since Marshall was on the Supreme Court, and Dwight Eisenhower said, who appointed Marshall, he said, I made two mistakes in my presidency, and both of them are sitting on the Supreme Court. Ever since that court, they have become an activist group that has tried to push a leftist agenda on America, and the Republicans want to slowly begin undoing that. The Democratic platform says we will appoint U.S. Supreme Court justices and federal judges who will respect and enforce foundational precedents, including Roe versus Wade. We applaud the decision in Bostick versus Clayton County, which redefined the word sex in Title VII to include sexual orientation and gender identity. In terms of sex education, the Republican platform supports sexual risk avoidance education that sets abstinence until marriage as the responsible and the respected standard of behavior. That's logical and that is reasonable. And again, that is tied to the Bible. That is tied to Christian values. The Democratic Party platform supports LGBTQ plus inclusive sex education with a full range of family planning services. Folks, again, we are at a critical juncture in the United States of America. And let me just share one more thing with you before I go. Back to Dr. Wayne Grudem. Listen to what Grudem says here. He says it's not the fault of evangelical Christians that Republican Party policies have increasingly favored policies consistent with Christian values, while Democratic Party policies have increasingly strayed from Christian values. This happened initially and most notably over the issue of abortion rights, but then it has spread to many other policies. Since that has happened, it seems to me that evangelicals, listen to what he says, evangelicals face an easy choice of which party to support. Folks, he says, because of this wide gap, and it is a wide gap. I told someone yesterday, I said, this is not the day when they're just different policies that the parties have. This is a wide gap of worldviews that these parties have. Because of this wide gap, he says, I expect that President Trump will get an even higher percentage of the evangelical vote in this election. I've spoken with a number of people who did not vote for Trump in 2016, but who will vote for him in 2020. I've not met anyone who voted for him in 2016, but will not vote for him in 2020. Let's hope so, because folks, liberty is at stake. Pray, speak up, and vote. God bless you. Check out my blog, www.wilsonrhett.com. This is Rhett Wilson for Faith, Family, and Freedom.